Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Paul K. Lemire, and this is Your City, Your Voice, coming to you live from downtown Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada, in the studios of 4680Q Radio. And look who I have to my left over here.
How you doing?
Chris Rigas is in the house today. He's going to be talking about this regional amalgamation, and Chris has one model he likes better than the other. So we're going to see why he likes better than the other. We're going to talk about that. And then we're going to get over to the other model and the goods and bads about that. And we're going to get through this today in the next hour. It's going to be interesting, so stay tuned. Hang tough. We're going to be able to do it. Usually I'm been in the studios of Video Sign Incorporated, but today we made it in the studio because Chris came in and we wanted to be here. Before we get to anything in this big decision that's coming down the pipe, and we'll ask Chris when he thinks it's all going to go down. Let me get to my sponsors, Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop and Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue. And, you know, we look out the window. It's a beautiful sunny day. It's going to be a good one today. It was like 39 degrees 22 degrees when I woke up this morning.
Yeah,
it was really, really chilly this morning when I got up. But look at how nice of a day it's turning out to be. Unbelievable. That's why you got to get your car into Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop. Get it checked out. Make sure everything's running good. You're coming into the spring checkup season now. You've already missed winter. If you haven't gotten it down there, you still don't want to break down. It's a bummer. Let Ken Hunter check your car from top to bottom, A to Z. Make sure it's running okay. He's going to use his diagnostic equipment to tell you exactly what's wrong and fix the problems. Get it ready for spring. Get it ready for summer. You don't want to break down. That's a bummer. Hey, he's your one-stop shop to get everything done. Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop, Oakwood Drive, next to the Kia dealership. Get down there and talk to him today. We'll get to my second sponsor, Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue at the half hour. And then we're good to go support our sponsors. They support the show. While you're at it, jump over to my YouTube channel, Paul Lemire 4973. Subscribe, hit the don't like button. I don't care. Get involved. Comment. Leave some comments. And we're good to go. Hey, everybody's got to get involved, right, Chris?
That's correct.
We have an election coming up, October 26th. We have some big changes coming down the pipe at Region.
Maybe.
So
we'll see.
You got to get involved. You got to get in there and let your opinion be known. That's the importance of it. Now, before we get into the show, I got to read you this.
Okay.
From Robert George.
Uh-oh.
Future candidate?
Possibly.
The best author with artificial intelligence I ever saw. His diatribes are second to none.
He's quite gifted.
He's quite gifted. Let me put it that way. He says, I want... Now we got a call coming in, but I can't answer the call because we can't hear you. Hold it now. Maybe let's just answer.
Is that Robert?
It could be Robert George. He wanted to say so. Let's just see who it is here. Let's see. Did I get it? Hello. Caller, are you there? Hello.
I'm not hearing nothing.
Nah. Fake call. Okay, so forget about that. We're going to read what he has to say, though. I want to get in on this one. I will oppose anything Rigas says. You don't even know your first name anymore.
I know.
For the record, four-city model can't eliminate the region right away, but I will support double duty as it is downsized and eliminated with population-based representation.
Yeah.
1 city councilors per 25K people. So which is approximately 6 councilors per city plus mayor. Region would be double duty, 1 mayor, 2 top voted councilors for each city, making up 12 plus chair.
Yeah.
It would reduce the local government from over 126 to be exact, to 29, including regional chair. Each councilor is paid $40K a year. Isn't he running for city or councilor?
No, I don't know. It's possible, but you know,
he's a millionaire. The guy, anyway, he's working on $40K.
Yeah, I
love Robert. A year those doing double duty, $60K. Mayors get $120K. Bring total cost of local government salaries to $1.72 million, a significant savings.
Well, if that was the major issue, was the cost then of the elected representatives, as opposed to the actual cost of the region and running the double layered bureaucracy, he might have a valid point, but he doesn't, because because double duty does nothing to decrease the bureaucracy. It just actually makes it worse. The issue isn't the amount of politicians. That's what everybody thinks amalgamation needs to happen because of. That's not what the issue is. That's not where the savings are going to be. Savings are going to be in other areas. I mean, that's part of the savings. Don't get me wrong. You're going to have less politicians for sure, but it's the double layered bureaucracy that you got to deal with, and the inefficiencies that has, and on top of that, the non accountability that exists today. They just do whatever they want, and they don't care because they know no one else knows what's going on. It's not local enough, right? So I'll give you some history on the Niagara region. Niagara region was formed in 1970. Okay, when there was an amalgamation from 28 municipalities down to 12. So it's not like this has never happened before. That was in 1970. It was almost 60 years ago.
Yes.
Population of Niagara region at that time was around 330,000 people.
Okay.
Today we're around 550,000, right? 530, actually, 530. We're headed towards 650 in the next 10 to 15 years, okay? There was a reason, and those 12 small municipalities couldn't realistically deliver the services that were required individually. So that's why the Niagara region was created. Today, however, we've infilled to a point, okay, that we're at this juncture now where the region exists to manage services that can be managed now by smaller municipalities. Not smaller than what exists now, but I'm just saying smaller than the actual entire region, right? So if you've got a municipality of, let's say, 150,000 people, they can manage their own services. Now, if you go down, there are two proposals out there that were originally, Ford's made multiple pushes on, and actually people in the region here have made a push for some type of amalgamation, okay, because there are inefficiencies. And in 2018, there were two competing proposals kind of came out after Ford was elected. In 2019, there was a development of two different proposals.
Then COVID hit.
It wasn't even COVID that did it. There was some tension with a greenbelt thing that had Ford pull back on some unpopular, let's say, amalgamations or disbanding of regions, getting rid of the regional governments. So they abandoned it back then. There was a big push, 4-city model and a 1-city model. The 1-city model was kind of almost pushed aside because it doesn't change anything. Okay, so and then the 4-city model kind of came to the surface as the right way to go, and I'll explain it. So if you take, I don't know how many of you out there have seen the map that's been put out there with the river cities, Niagara-on-the-Lake, Niagara Falls, Fort Erie as one city. St. Catharines would remain as it is. And then the other canal cities, Thorold, Welland, Port Colborne, and then everybody else in Lincoln. Okay.
That's the one I saw.
So that is the original map. Now that was developed out of a report done by a civil governance professor out of Brock University at the time. It was back in 1998. I think he did this report.
Somebody asked me to ask you about the Berkeley report.
So that was a 3-city. He had a 3-city model.
Okay.
Now that 3-city model, there had some efficiencies. So what the group that supported that came up with the 4-city model, they consulted with him actually, and they developed the 4-city model, which was a little bit more cohesive and sensitive to. It was more sensitive to localized concerns, right? So you've got commonality of issues in all three new municipalities, and the city of St. Catharines would still be itself. So you had the rural concerns of Lincoln, right?
Yes,
and they were kind of kept together.
Makes sense,
right? You had the canal and industrial kind of corridor of Port Colborne, Welland, and Thorold kept together.
Makes sense,
right? And then you had the tourism, Niagara River, border cities of Niagara-on-the-Lake, Niagara Falls, and Fort Erie kept together as well. Now, there's some commonality there's some agricultural concerns in that area as well, in the south end of Niagara, north of Fort Erie and south of Chippewa, right? There's some agricultural there, and there's the ag in Niagara-on-the-Lake. Plus, there is the borders. We have bridges, right? We have the Queenston-Lewiston. We have the Rainbow and the Lower Bridge and the Peace Bridge.
Now, let me ask you a question. Were they when they were looking at this, were they kind of trying to balance out the population as well?
That too, yes.
Okay.
So because you could have in that scenario the population of Niagara Falls. Now, this was done in 2019 before the increase. We had quite a little influx here in Niagara Falls post that particular thing, but it doesn't matter overall, because you're still at around, we would be at a city of around 170,000, 170 with Fort Erie, Niagara Falls, and Niagara-on-the-Lake, right around 160,000,
something like that.
Something like that. Okay. St. Catharines is about 155,000 right now.
Yeah.
And then you have Thorold, Welland, and Port Colborne would be around 100,000 people.
Waynfleet.
Yeah.
Waynfleet.
I don't know. I think, was Waynfleet in that? I think Waynfleet was in Lincoln.
Was it in Lincoln?
Yes. Because of its rural
Lincoln.
Because it's rural nature. Now, Lincoln would, but it has, so Lincoln is a more of a rural type thing, but that would contain Grimsby, Beamsville, Smithville, and any of the small Waynfleet, any of the smaller municipalities there.
They'd probably be close to 150 too.
Well, I don't know, but I don't know how. I can't remember. I don't know. I think it's somewhere around 100,000 too.
Yeah.
100,000. So you get 4 cities, in size that can basically run their own services, right? They have now the thing. So that the region does. So
in the 4-city model,
yeah,
were they talking about getting rid of the region?
The region would be completely
and just going to 4 big cities.
4 cities.
Okay. Yeah.
Now
that's great.
That means that in that scenario, okay, you're still going to have to share some services, barring people opting out. So let's say police services. So the police services would just continue as is, with it run by a police board. And the cities would contribute based on population or whatever it is, the bill, they would pay into the police board. Same with water and wastewater. Now, so a lot of cities have their own water facilities and whatever, but owned by the region, obviously, their wastewater and thing. Water mains, like fresh water or treated water, comes in from different places. That would have to be discussed. But at the end of the day, it doesn't have to change as much, but basically it's just the shifting of some personnel, maybe some downsizing. You don't need, I don't think we need as many personnel as we need. There would be savings in building managements and offices and stuff like that. So, which we'll get into later, the assets, which Ringo Beam was asking about the other day.
Well, I know Bart Maves made that point about services, that really the Niagara Regional Police aren't a regional entity. They're a municipal entity run by a board and dispatched to all the different municipalities.
Yeah, because we all have our own departments.
Yeah,
right.
So it's not really run by the region per se, although it is a regional entity. It's really run by a police board.
Yeah.
And you could do that with
and
EMS,
funded by the EMS,
Niagara Health,
Niagara Health, all that stuff,
wastewater, fire,
housing as well. Well, no, fire's not a regional. That's a strictly music. I don't think it'll ever go regional.
It'll ever go regional. Okay,
but it would be the greater area, but there wouldn't be a lot of change to fire services, to be honest with you, because the new municipalities would still have their volunteer stations and they still have their full-time stations.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So there wouldn't be a lot of change there. And regional housing would probably have to be done by a board. Now, there's one particular area that you could really divvy up, and every municipality could be on its own and probably do well, and then we could liquidate the region's assets, which is regional waste. So the region runs, I think, 2 landfills now. You could sell those off to, let's say, Walker, and get rid of the entire waste department of the region. And then each municipality could contract their own and run their own. There'd be huge savings there, and their offices could be liquidated. So I think that the services would be more in tune with what residents want of each municipality in that case, right? Rather than seeking this overarching. Where you're taking in a massive region and trying to conduct waste management in this massive thing, because there are efficiencies for bringing that to local distribution, right? So local collection. And then so planning has also already been taken away from, and I'll tell you so. We wouldn't be at this point. Nobody would have been calling for the heads or the dissolution of the region had the region been responsive and self-correcting and in tune with and fiscally responsible with for the people. They haven't been. We're at a point now where the last 4 years we've had almost a 40%, is about 36% increase in property taxes over the last 4 years from the region. This is the regional portion. Okay, your waste management fees are up about 25%. Your water rates are up almost 40%. Your transit's up. It's so and there has been no, oh shucks, we got to do this. It's been like, we're going to do this and we don't care what you think about it. So this has really got people's backs up. And it's the reason why now this has gained such steam. And, for anybody who is a fan of the region, you need to look in the mirror and say, geez, you pushed people's breaking points. They're looking at their property tax bills every year. They're looking at their water rates every year. They're looking at their transit fees, and they're looking. And they're saying, what the heck is going on there that they need 40% more, 40%, almost 40% in 4 years of property tax increases. It's almost like they have at the region a disdain for the average guy out there. It's just like, oh, let's see how much we can stick it to them this year. Let's see what we can do to stick it to him this year. We don't care what he thinks about this, or we're gonna, do that. I mean, come on. So and I'll give you an example. This is a prime example of kind of like I want to say the arrogance. I just want to. It's an arrogant level of government. Okay. And here is the prime example of the arrogance that upsets people. So the province took away planning from the region. 52 employees were in this planning department. I want you to ask, don't believe me, I don't care. I just want you to ask the question of someone that is elected in your city, or your as a representative, or someone in regional government. I just want you to ask someone in the region, or your local regional councillor, how many people were laid off or no longer employed with the region after the government took away the planning from the region and gave it back to the municipalities. So we've already kind of divested a portion of the region back to the municipalities, just so people are informed. I just want you to ask somebody in the region. I don't even want to tell you what the answer is, but just go ahead and ask how many people from the planning department were laid off or no longer employed or were given severance packages and gone after that happened.
Can I answer that question?
You can.
Yeah, I'll just take a guess.
If you go ahead, hazard a guess.
Okay, I'm gonna take a guess.
Okay.
0.
Well, you would be correct. But anyways, so that's part of that. Okay. And they were just redistributed amongst in other departments. Some of them were given actually better pay, and so look, and I'm not saying that these people aren't good people or they're not, they weren't good at their jobs, but the issue is the guys making the decisions at the region have so little respect for the taxpayer that they, not even one person to say, I'm not saying that you should be happy about someone losing their job. I don't want anybody to lose. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that if you close down a department, basically in any functioning business, whatever it is, yeah, you may redistribute a few people that you need here and there, but to say that you didn't lay off or unemployed, one person did not get unemployed there. I mean, come on, you can't say that. And like I said, it's not that I'm sitting here advocating for people to lose their jobs, but you can't. So where is the respect for the taxpayer in that situation? Because it was taken away from the region in order to save the taxpayer, save developers and progress. Some hassle dealing with two levels of government, and eliminating that bureaucracy, but also to save the taxpayers a little bit of money. And the region said, no, guess what? You don't get to save any money, and we're putting your property taxes up this year 6.3%.
Okay, here's a comment.
Okay.
And anybody who wants to comment, 289-994-7560. That's the number here. So here we have a comment here. Chris is right with double duty counselor. This is more about reducing cumbersome duplicated administration of government services. 13 CAOs, 12 fire chiefs, 13 finance department, all those planning department and economic development officers, and so on and so on. Berkeley report noted one city model and recommended one city. Core recommendation from Berkeley report, core recommendation, move to a single-tier municipality structure. The report concluded that the existing two-tier system, NAG regional government, and 12 lower-tier municipalities was overly complex and inefficient for the region's needs.
Yeah. So in 2000, it was not. It was over 3-city.
And there's more, but I don't know the specifics of that report, that Berkeley report. But from what I understand, there was a 3-city model that was developed at that time. It was not a 1-city. The 1-city model came out in the argument for the 1-city came out. There was 2 competing reports given out in 2019. I don't know. Like I said, I don't. Yeah,
this
is back in 2000.
Yeah, but I didn't read the Berkeley report. But I was pretty sure that it was a 3-city model. That's what I was told at the time. In 2018, 2019.
Yeah, I mean, how valid would recommendations be from 2000, seeing as how this region has changed?
They weren't valid. But even still, 1-city. So what does 1-city do? 1-city. What would happen if we said, let's take the scenario of 1-city. 1-city. What would happen if you said, okay, all of the municipalities in are going to be amalgamated into 1-city, of the region are going to be amalgamated into 1-city. Well, what does that do for regional governance? So what it does is it just keeps the people who are non-responsive and non-accountable in place, eliminates your local representation, your closer representation.
That's a big argument.
And uploads all the money to be distributed by those people who don't care, that already have shown you that they're irresponsible with your money and who just constantly want more. So there is no argument and Niagara is not filled in enough for 1-city government. It's a progress. Eventually we'll end up there. Don't get me wrong. It could be 30 years from now. It could be 50 years from now. But there's no reason to make the population suffer for 30 or 50 years until we are at that stage. We are just not infilled enough. You would have massive service and responsibility or accountability. How am I going to put this? Deficits, across the smaller towns and cities. So, the politicians wouldn't care as much, or they wouldn't have as much representation from all these smaller municipalities, or to these municipalities, and the votes wouldn't carry. You end up with the same inefficiencies you have today with respect to ambulance services, police services, whatever it is that your issue is, housing, all this. Nothing would change if you went to a one city model right now.
Yeah, well, you got to think that if the one city model is the regional government as it stands now, getting rid of some politicians and basically running all of it, all 12 municipalities. If they can't run it the way it is now, why would it change by calling it one Niagara?
It wouldn't change. So that's the thing. Like, it would actually just, all it does is get rid of the politicians, which is, like we have already discussed, is not the overriding savings in when you're talking about the regional, when you're talking about the amalgamation. The amalgamation comes in the elimination of bureaucracies or duplication of bureaucracies. So what would happen is they would just upload all this stuff from the cities, and they wouldn't get rid of anybody. They've already shown you that they're not going to do it. All they get rid of is the elected politicians. Okay, so you're not going to be any better off. Actually, you might be worse off. At the very least, you're going to be worse off.
So in the 4-city model, how do you see the actual city council working? Like, would there be
wards?
It would be wards, but would there be like 4 reps from Niagara, 2 from Niagara Lake, 2 from Fort Erie, or
along those lines? I would assume it's going to be one councillor for every 20,000 population, somewhere around there.
Kind of like what Robert George said.
Yeah, somewhere around there. It would end up like that. Yes, that's the I think that's one councillor per 20,000 people. You could reduce that, one councillor per 15,000 if you wanted a bigger council, or you could go a little bit less if you wanted less. But I think 1 to 20 is a good kind of is a good, and I think they would probably be full-time councils.
So in the Niagara, Fort Erie, Niagara and Lake region, you got about 150,000. So you'd be looking at
160,000. So eight councillors plus a mayor.
8 councillors plus a mayor. So would these councillors run just in their city? So Niagara Falls would be a ward, and we'd say have 4 in our ward, and they would be elected in Niagara Falls. Then you'd have 2, say, in Niagara Lake, and 2 in Fort Erie.
So it would probably be 1 in Niagara Lake, 2 in Fort Erie, and 5 in Niagara Falls.
Okay, and then Niagara Falls will be broken into wards.
I'm not sure how deep that would go. Right, that all depends on I guess the people could decide that. Right, like
Oh, in Niagara Falls, people don't get to decide it.
Well, I mean, not right now, but I'm just saying, like, they, at the end of the day, so the province can dictate, I guess, how it would be set up. I don't know.
That would be good.
Yeah, I don't know how the specifics would work out there, but at the end of the day, you're probably looking at wards per former municipality. Like, it would be larger wards. That's how I'm looking at it. I didn't really consider that Niagara Falls would be carved up into 5 different wards, but it's possible. I don't know. I like I said, I just don't know that deeply how it would go.
Okay, so here's further to that discussion. Chris is right with concerns with handling over the keys to a bad group of executives, like you said, the region as it exists. But I'd be tearing off the Band-Aid now. Why kick the can down the road any further? Going to one city would save taxpayers 25 to 30 million per year. Changing the staff of the region, break it down, right down. They have clearly demonstrated a disdain for the taxpayers. So that the person who texts that agrees with you in that regard, but he thinks they should go to a one city model right now. No. Why fool around with it?
So why fool around with it? Because you're suffering for the next 30 years until it becomes efficient. That's why. So, there's stages, right? You can't, so you walk before you jump.
Well, see, I'm really leery of any of that, because in January 1st, 1970, we went to a regional council. And the objective of a regional council was that if you have everybody involved in everything, it's going to be cheaper than municipalities trying to run everything by themselves. That was the idea. Buying in bulk. Everybody's heard of that. You run to Costco, you buy the bigger package, it's cheaper per unit. And if you buy a bigger package of waste management, you buy a bigger package of fire, whatever, it's going to be cheaper for each unit, which is the municipalities. But like you said, it never worked out that way.
No, because government is an entity that wants to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and doesn't want to get rid of anybody. Okay, it just doesn't. That's the nature of it.
And it goes right back to municipalities.
Yeah.
They don't want to get rid of their planners and hold all the planners over to region, or their economic development staff. They don't want to get rid of anybody. The region don't want to get rid of anybody. Then you got a double jeopardy.
No, yeah, you don't want. Look at. As I said, the reason why this is coming up now is because people are frustrated and fed up with the way things are going.
Exactly.
And we don't want to continue that. So why would we continue that for 30 to 50 years before we're ready for it? We're not ready for it. But that you've got a very large region here with only 530,000 people here. The distribution of services is not efficient if you have it run out of St. Catharines or Thorold. And it's that simple. And we've seen that. I mean, we have the evidence. So let's not say that we don't know how it's going to go. We do. We know exactly how it's going to go. We have the evidence of the last 50 years of regional government. So going to one city is not the solution. I don't care what you try to tell me that rip the Band-Aid off now or whatever. No, I don't want my kids to suffer for the next 50 years if they want to live here for the next 50 years in Niagara with an inefficient, overburdening bureaucracy here. I don't want it. It doesn't make any sense to do a one city model. All they would do is upload everything. There's no efficiency, and $30 million isn't that much. It's not worth doing anything if it's only $30 million a year.
What's the budget?
So
$1.5 billion.
So I'll say right now, here's the thing. That's just the region is $1.5 billion. You take every municipality on top of that.
On top of that, which is another.
So
200 million.
Well, Niagara Falls is 150 million, 170 million. Yeah.
More.
So
a couple $100 million.
So St. Catharines is 140 million. And then you go, so the idea is, so the region is sitting also on a $300 million, I believe it's 300 million. That's what I've heard was the $300 million development charge reserve, which should be distributed to the municipalities. Okay. And the liquidation of regional assets would help. There's no argument in my eyes for going to one city. If you're going to one city, you might as well not do anything. You might as well just leave things the way they are. At least you got some local representation that's going to look out for you, at some point.
Okay, hold that thought. We're going to get into some other stuff in a minute, but I got to get to my second sponsor.
Sure.
Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue. And if you want a good pizza, I'm telling you, go to Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue or the new location, Thorold Stone Road and Kaler Road in the northwest part of the city. These guys have been using the Mancini family recipe, been around for 40 years, tried and true. They know how to make a pizza. You put the sauce on the great crust from the Mancini family recipe. You take a blend of brick and mozzarella cheese. You put it on the pizza, cook it just right, and you've got a winner. These guys know how to make a pizza and make it consistent, but they're not a one-trick pony. They have great wings and panzerotti, steak and cheese poutine, regular poutine, chicken parm sandwiches, you name it, they have it. They have a threefold menu full of great food items that you're going to like, whether you like pizza or not. Open till 2 a.m. on Friday and Saturday, midnight during the week. Hey, how can you go wrong? How do you get one of these beautiful pizzas? 905-374-2222. Pete's Pizza, Victoria Avenue. Go to petespizzavictoria.ca. You can order off their website. They use dine, dash, skip, run, jump, hop, all the services, you name it, they use it. You can get yourself a nice fresh hot pizza. Get one tonight. Tuesday is not just Taco Tuesday, it's Pizza Tuesday too. Get yourself a good pizza. Tell them Paul from You Said Your Voice sent you. And hey, support our local small businesses. I mean, they support the city all the time. Chris has one, Fire Hall Restaurant. The old Fire Hall Restaurant down in, we call it St. David's, Niagara-on-the-Lake. Hey, get out and support our local guys like Chris.
Yeah.
What the heck? Why not? Okay, so one the one city idea, one Niagara idea. Hamilton tried it, didn't save him a dime. I think there's about 5 other places that have tried it, hasn't saved them a dime.
It doesn't save when you take one big step.
Yeah, they took Ancaster and everything.
So let me explain to you what else happens, and maybe the person who's making that comment doesn't understand either. When you move to one city, all city debts also get uploaded to the region.
Right.
Now, St. Catharines has a massive per capita debt. That was actually added on to feverishly by Walter Senzik when he thought it was going to amalgamate in 2019. So he thought he was going to go to one city and he would get. So what he did was he had all these public works projects in St. Catharines. He repaved the whole city and did everything and took on all this debt to do it, and then it didn't happen. So if you wanted, as a taxpayer in Niagara Falls or in Fort Erie or in Niagara-on-the-Lake or in Waynfleet or Grimsby or Beamsville, want to pay for St. Catharines roads at this time, at this particular moment in time, then you can do that, but move to St. Catharines. We don't want that burden. They have their debt's like $130 million. Okay. For that city. I mean, Niagara Falls, we're sitting pretty good financially. We're okay. Our debts, I think it sits around 60 million, somewhere around there.
It's hard to tell because they shuffle money like Houdini around.
Yeah, here. I don't think we've been okay. We're not suffering.
Well, we're under the 25% we're allowed, and we're under 15% that they've set their own record. So we're not doing bad. Right?
Yeah. So we're okay. But Niagara-on-the-Lake is okay. They've been raising their property taxes a little bit lately. They've had to play catch up because of some litigation matters down there. And Fort Erie is financially stable. The city of Niagara itself would be very stable. The canal cities are looking good. Welland, Thorold, and Port Colborne are doing well. They're doing better. They've gotten some investments. They're doing okay. And the rural communities, they've always been decent, other than Pelham, when Dave Augustin, Mr. Spend Happy over there, took on a massive debt to pay for a rec center that was huge. It was a $40 million debt with a town that has an income of has 12 million in revenue or something like that. It was nuts. But anyways,
and that debt would be on top of any debt the region itself has.
Yeah, so
which is a huge in debt. They're broke.
Yeah, well, no, they're not broke.
They're not broke.
They're not broke.
Well, they got $300 million
in the reserve, and then plus on top of that, we get so all that provincial funding would still exist for us. They get quite a bit of their budget. They get about $550 million in property taxes, which would be taken over by the municipalities. They get funding of about $600 million from the province for various services. So
yeah, well, 45%.
Or 300 million,
maybe more, of our taxes that we pay, you look at the pie chart, goes to the region.
Yeah,
and we wouldn't have to.
Well, it would be municipality, right? So the municipality would have this. So
split it
you have to understand that those property taxes at the region, are to pay for their bureaucrats and their distribution of services. If you bring that back home, your municipality is not forced to raise taxes and may have a surplus. Maybe they'll be able to give you a slight reduction. From what you were previously paying, because that entirety of that tax bill is no longer needed. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to happen, because it's very rare that a government would give back even $1, to people. But
that's
the pressures to raise your taxes would be far less. That's for sure. So, I don't know exactly. Like I said, I don't have all the answers as to how it would work exactly as far as all that goes, but we can speculate. And when we did that report in 2019, when that report came out and I was supporting it, we were projecting a savings, an immediate 2-year savings. I think it was once things were done, of about $120 million for the taxpayers across the region. That was in the beginning. Okay. Now, what the final numbers would be, I mean, you can only speculate a little bit, but it would be far more, I think, across the region than 30 million. Okay, far more. So,
this same gentleman said that Dr. Marvin Ryder, who was the transition manager for the City of Hamilton Amalgamation, noted millions in savings, but he also noted when politicians find savings, they usually find a new priority to spend those savings on.
I think that's what I just said.
Yeah.
they might not give it back.
And he said, this is not amalgamation costing more. It's politicians finding ways to spend it. They're spendthrifts. Let's face it.
Listen, look, I'm not saying that that you're going to get a big refund right away. Okay, it's not going to happen. But operational budgets. Okay, you're eliminating the operational budget of the region, and you're downloading some of those services and bringing them to local, and you're dividing them up. Some of those services, anyways, amongst different municipalities.
And he's got a good point. He said, just look at what Niagara Falls and St. Catharines did when transit was uploaded. Yeah.
Well, that wasn't Niagara Falls and St. Catharines. You have to understand that was Walter Sendzik, who went from mayor of St. Catharines to chair of the transit board, who immediately doubled the transit budget.
Yeah, he did.
Okay. So, you and I want to say it. He's a liberal. Okay.
Yeah, he is.
And a big time liberal.
Yeah.
Okay. And they just spend money.
Tax and spend.
They tax and spend and tax and spend. Well, actually, it's not tax. I'll call it spend and tax, because they spend first, tax you later. Okay.
Good point.
All right. They do. And it's nice to want, like I said, all this stuff done and but you have to be a little bit more judicious. And if you go to a 4-city model, like I said, I'm not saying it's all going to be, roses and, they're going to give you money back and, whatever. Might not happen. And it probably won't. However, the pressure to increase any more is gone. I would think that you're not going to get a tax increase for a while. However, they have to work all that out. I mean, there's a lot of little things here and there that are going to have to be worked out amongst how services are operating, where the money's going to get distributed. All that still has to come. But we need to do something. We're overgoverned. We're overtaxed. We're deficient in services.
Heavy in admin.
And we are now capable as a region to handle services amongst 4 different municipalities rather than one overreaching government.
Okay, let me just read off the key features of the One Niagara that I found. Okay, yeah,
go ahead,
and you can just listen to these and then give your comments on it.
Sure.
Number 1, it reduces red tape. 2, reduces duplication. 3, reduces political inefficiency, streamlines development approvals, unifies regional planning to combat sprawl, enhanced investment attraction, cost savings by optimizing municipal services, improved government and efficiency. That's a tough one right there. Cohesive approach to development, easier to market the region as a whole, part of Destination Niagara. Eliminate competitive funding between municipalities, coordinate management of infrastructure and services. Number of politicians would be reduced from 126 to 26. Any of that strike you as...
So I have one answer for that. How is it working now? Because
not good.
how you see it working now is how you would see it work down the road. It does not work. It's not working as we are. It's that simple. You have the evidence in front of you. So why deny it? I don't understand the denial of what the region would look like in that capacity. And it makes no sense to suffer further. It makes none whatsoever, not an ounce of sense to suffer anymore going down the road. And so you would have to negotiate for stuff for Niagara here, Niagara Falls. You would have to negotiate with other councillors from Smithville and from Beamsville and from Grimsby in order to get your things approved over here. Now, I just want to know how that makes any sense whatsoever. First, okay? Second, how efficiencies will be found in the most inefficient level of government. It will not happen. They will just upload everything. They will upload everything. There will be not an ounce of savings. And now they will be in complete control of all of the tax dollars. 100% of all of the tax dollars will be controlled by bureaucrats somewhere else. And made decisions on how to spend it will not be in control of your local municipality or your localized municipality. And if you think that your 5 councillors will override the 7 in St. Catharines, the 1 in Beamsville, the 2 in Grimsby, the 1 in Smithville, the 1 in or 2 in Port Colborne, the 3 in Welland, and the 2 like. So what you're going to end up happening is a lot of horse trading and a lot of baloney in order to get one little thing done. So I would suggest that you forget about this one city idea for at least another 50 years until we hit a population of about 1 million. So right now we're scheduled to double from where we were in 1970 at about I would say in the next 10 years or so. We're end up around 650,000 or 630,000, somewhere around there. And that will be, I think, the optimal point for the region. And then after that 10 to 15 years, as we continue the next 5-10 years, then you start making plans for the move to a one city. I may not be here for that.
Where are you going?
Well, I don't know. Spirit in the sky. But anyway, so
I definitely won't be here.
But I'm just saying, like 30 to 40 years from now, maybe even 50 years from now, you move to that one city model, and you don't know. It's too much of a leap because we don't know exactly where things are going. You cannot predict the future. You cannot take that big jump if you don't know what's like. So you don't jump off a cliff into a river unless you know what rocks lie beneath.
So just a couple of points here, and just to say, you were talking about Senzik, but was it Cisco or was it Senzik?
No, Senzik.
Because that's one of the things. Senzik was not mayor at the time of the transfer.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, no, he was not, but he was. He
was chairman of the transit.
But they put him on the transit board.
Exactly.
Right when he's the chairman of the transit board.
And I remember that because I remember him at city council, and everybody was going crazy, especially Councilor Lococo, because we were at 7.5 million and went to 15, 16, 17 million, and
that was all Walter said. I'll tell you that right now. It is. Look it up.
But Cisco was the mayor.
I believe he was just elected.
Yeah.
It was because it happened just before or just after that election.
Yeah, and he says solid case to move to 4 cities.
It is.
So he's listening to you and saying, like you're making a good case.
Because it makes sense. Like you can't make a good case on something that doesn't make sense. That like you keep it. You do something about the problem, but you keep it as local as possible for representation purposes. And not only representation, but control over dollars and cents. So that's the idea behind 4 cities, because we want to do something. You can't just leave it the way it is. So if you're forced to do something, and we are at this point forced to do something if we want to change, if we want an alteration in the way things are working. If you don't want an alteration of things, yeah, sure, leave it, let it go another 4 years. We've been down this road twice already. I'm skeptical on whether this is actually going to come to fruition. I get excited every time they say something about it, and then I get disappointed because it happened in 2019 where everybody was like, "Oh, gung ho!" We came up with these reports, 1 city, 4 city, and everybody was big arguments and all this stuff, and people were up in arms, and they're like, "Oh, we don't want this, and we don't want that," and blah 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 blah. And then, we've had these tax increases now that, slowly things degenerated from the region. We saw this degeneration back in 2019. That's why it all started. And then 2022, we started hearing the things again and started going and whatever. And then all of a sudden that's it, not happening. He ran another election in 2024. Now we're all gung ho again. And I'm skeptical. I'm worried that it's just not going to happen again. I hate this getting all excited about it, about a chance to reform things in a way that makes sense for everybody. That kind of because we know something has to be done. We really do. Everybody knows it in the back of their minds. Everybody knows it. Now, there's disagreements about how to do that. People just say get rid of some politicians. They think that's going to solve the problems. It's not. The amount of money that we spend on politicians is minuscule in comparison to the issues.
To the big picture.
Yeah.
The definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results.
100%. It's you gotta look. It's just time. It's 50. We're almost 60 years in. We're almost 60 years in on this model. It was good, probably for the first 20, 30 years.
Minutes.
Well, I don't know. I think that there were some advantages back then because
I do too.
You had a lot smaller municipalities and you can't function with major services on your own as a municipality. So you had to develop this regional governance model. So, and I think it worked back then for a while, but now we're at a point population wise, interest wise, things are moving, in a different way. We need to do something. And for the average citizen, we aren't getting the services and we're being heavily burdened financially because of it. So, I mean, to me, this is the best solution. This is the first step in a bigger idea later on, but this would be the first step.
Now, one thing that I want to finish off the show with here is time frame. Now, we have right now, they're getting opinions from people till March 3rd. Mm-hmm. They send out these letters. And then we have nominations coming up on May 1st for the election, October 2026. So my thing is, if they're going to do something, they're going to have to move between now and nomination date because we have to know who we're voting for and who's running for what. Now, to me, common sense tells me if it's going to happen before May 1st, then they already know what they're doing. It's done. It's a done deal, right? They already know what they're going to do, how they're going to do it. They have everything ready to go. They've been studying it for 7 years. Now they're going to just execute what they put together. That's what makes sense to me if we do it before May 1st. If we wait till after the nominations open and we go to what we're doing right now with the city and the region and everything else, then to me, that's going to make it wait until the next election, which would be 2030. What do you think, Chris? Is it going to happen now, or is it going to be put off till 4 more years?
I think we're going to get some. I'm going to be an optimist. Okay, I'm going to be an optimist. I've been disappointed before. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm disappointed again. Now I'm making a guess. I'm going to be an optimist and say they're going to make some sort of effort to move in a direction of amalgamation. I believe that what will happen is they will cancel the regional councillor elections.
Okay.
And if they are going to make a move soon, because it doesn't happen overnight. Like you cannot just think it's going to take a couple of years. Actually, it probably actually won't happen. It'll happen over the next 4 years. The actual amalgamation. It won't happen overnight.
No, they're not just going to say we're doing it and then it's going to happen.
And it's going to happen. That's not going to.
You'll have to move through the process.
Yeah, exactly. So what I suspect will happen is they'll cancel the regional councillor elections. They will move to just having the mayors represent the region in the transitional phase, right? Well, where every mayor will be the representative to transition and make decisions on how the transition will take place, guided in consultation with the province, right? Mm-hmm. That's how I believe, and probably guided with some citizen committees as well. I don't have any specifics. I haven't heard anything, so I don't know. But this is my educated guess. Would be that that's the way they'll move. I don't know that that's the case. They could just leave things the way they are, and then just set up transition committees over the next 4 years and then cancel it 4 years from now or whatever. Because, like I said, it doesn't. I don't know exactly what the representation would be. I don't know what it would look like. I just don't know. I'm complete speculation. But if they were going to make an announcement before May 1st because they want to move in a direction of amalgamation, then what they'll do is they'll cancel the regional councillor elections, and they'll just go with the mayors, or maybe they'll go with mayors and one councillor from the city or two councillors. I don't know. Like I said, or maybe they're just going to go with the mayor and then maybe a couple of citizen appointees and move it that way. People with experience or something like that. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't. I couldn't tell you. I have no information with that respect. But I would suspect if they're serious about going forward with this amalgamation and they want it to happen by 2030, okay, and they want us completely amalgamated for new elections in 2030, then they have to do that work now in the next 4 years.
Yeah, they'll have to work.
So they'll have to work towards it now.
Yeah.
So yeah, amalgamation I don't think will be completed for at least 4 years. That I honestly believe. I don't think it'll be in 1 year or 2 years. I think it'll be like by the third year of the next term, that where things are getting to a point where then where they've moved enough services and things, and then they just boom.
Is there a big appetite for leaving it as it is? I heard Gary Zalepa, the Lord Mayor, town mayor of Niagara-on-the-Lake, or whatever he's called, the Lord Mayor. He said he just wants to be left alone. Niagara-on-the-Lake's their own little thing. They're not like anybody else in the region, and they don't want to be part of a much bigger thing.
Yeah.
Is there an appetite for that at all?
I don't know. No, I think Niagara-on-the-Lake would be happy to be on its own as far as municipality goes, but it's not realistic. When you look at the way governance is working. So I don't know. I just, and the way delivery of services goes and all that other stuff. I don't know what it's going to look like. Honestly, I really don't. I have my pick of how it should look, what makes sense. To me, it makes perfect sense to have 4 cities, and with common interests. You have the Niagara corridor, you have the Canal corridor, you have St. Catharines on its own, and you have Lincoln. To me, that makes perfect sense for the 4 cities and distribution and services, and gives people enough local input and control, and where you maximize savings, and I think that's the point where that's the model that you get the most benefit out of that sort of idea. I know it's going to upset some people. I guess they'll be upset about their driver's license saying Niagara instead of Niagara-on-the-Lake, or Niagara instead of Fort Erie, or Welland instead of Thorold, or Welland instead of Port Colborne. Well, they could call it Canal City for all I care. I don't care. Or Lincoln when you get to Beamsville or Grimsby or whatever. But people were upset back when we did it, in 1972. So you can't please everybody. Sometimes government has to make the hard decisions in order to do what's best for the people. And this is the hard. The 4th city way is the hard way to do it. And and when something is hard to do, that's the best way to do it. If the easy way is to go to one city, upload everything, and then you save no money, and you got the same bureaucrats running everything, and you don't save a thing, and you just continue the baloney that we've had for the last 10 years. So I don't know. You can kind of weigh those. I know where I'm at, and I've been I've looked at both models. I've had both reports in my hands. The 4-city report and the 1-city report. And I compared them. I compared the potential savings. I compared to everything. And I don't know if you trust me or not, but in my judgment, 4-city makes the most sense for us today.
Nothing good comes easy.
That's correct.
There you go. So that's it. What do you guys think out there? What do you think? 4-city, 1-city? Leave comments on the video. Leave me messages and tell me what you think. Is Chris on the right track? Is 1-city the right track? Or leave it alone as it stands? Is that the right track? Let me know. We'll talk about it on Thursday's show. Of course, tomorrow is Habsolutely. We're going to talk about the Habs and the Olympics. And we'll be back on Thursday at noon with Your City, Your Voice, and talk more about today's show and about other things that are going on in the region, in the city, and in the world, because there's lots going on right now all over the place.
Absolutely,
That's what I said to Chris. I've been have so much to talk about lately. It's hard to do in an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I could run a full blown news show the way this thing.
Yeah,
goes.
you could do the Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah, you could too. I don't know. Didn't they kill him? He's dead.
Yeah,
I think he's dead, though, right? I don't want to do that.
No.
Anyway, you guys, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate all of you. Don't forget to support our sponsors, Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop and Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue. I'm Paul Kalemir. This is Chris Rigas, my guest today, talking about regional government on Your City, Your Voice, 4680Q Radio, downtown Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. Leave your comments on the video, and hey, we'll keep our eyes open for the next 60 days until May 1st comes around, because we have to know something one way or the other by then.
Yeah, absolutely. They got to make a decision. Like I said, they could just leave it as it is for this year, and then move to transition with all the councillors there or whatever, or they may not. They may just keep the mayors. We'll see. It's all up in the air.
I'm telling them right now not to disappoint Chris again. He's been waiting 7 years.
Well, yes, I've been an advocate of this the whole time since I started. I got active in municipal politics when I ran for the region in 2018.
There you go. Maybe you should run again.
I don't know. I don't think so. But anyway,
we'll see what happens. Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Thank you for tuning in. God bless you all. Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye.